Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Force here with this week's Game of the Week, which will be Magic 2014, the latest installment of Duels of the Planeswalkers. My plan for the course of this week is to have each individual video feature a separate portion of Duels 2014. So we're going to start off with the campaign, and then we'll do videos for sealed play, challenges, revenge, and the multiplayer. So here in this first video, once again, we're going to be starting off by taking a look at the campaign. So let me just explain to you how the campaign works. There are a total of 6 chapters, if you will. There's Innistrad, Zendikar, Chandalar, Alara, Ravnica, and then the final one, Chaldeum, which is basically just like the final boss fight, if you will. So here, what I like to do is just show you some campaign gameplay. I'd also like to start off here.
Gave me a pendant from
got some story
called Innistrad. The mark on it symbolizes some militant order there. If you can track down its owner, maybe they'll know something about Ramaz. Careful though, nothing's more dangerous than armed zealots.
That's true. So there is a story within this campaign. You're basically playing along the story of Chandra Nalaar. She's a fire planeswalker, and that's pretty much all I know. I didn't pay attention to the story as I was playing through the campaign. I have completed the campaign, but there is a story with it, so I guess the positive of all this is at least I'm not spoiling it for you. So this is how the campaign works. We've got these 6 different chapters. They're basically 5 chapters that are comprised of encounters and then a final opponent. Now, encounters are different from like a standard game of Magic in the sense that encounters, there's a theme and they play out, I believe, pretty much the same every single time. Like every single game that I've played against the Angry Mob, I've done this a couple of times to check. Every turn he's played the same cards, and so you know what to expect, and then it just becomes how do you overcome your opponent is basically how it works. So why don't we go ahead and do that. I'd like to show you maybe 1 or 2 encounters and a boss fight as well. Now we're playing on the Planeswalker difficulty, which is the hardest of the 3 difficulties in this game. Now let me try to get a deck. I have unlocked all the decks now. You can do a random deck, but I'd like to make sure we're getting stuff that will work pretty well against what we're playing against. So maybe the Deadwalkers. This is a zombie deck. Why don't we give this one a shot? Okay, so I'm going to be playing my zombie deck, opening hand. No swamps, so that doesn't work out. This is a nice opening hand, though. Very nice. We're going to go ahead and keep this. We are playing first as well. And we'll drop down a Gravecrawler. Gravecrawler is a 2/1, can't block. However, as long as I control a zombie, I can play it from my graveyard. So it's a creature you attack with every turn. And it just keeps coming back. There you go. Simple as that. So yes, the encounters, there's a theme. They play out the same every single time. So this Angry Mob encounter, he starts off with this. Next turn, he plays I believe it's a 1/1 white creature that gets pumped up when his creatures die. I think that's what he plays turn 2. And so like the first time you come up against these things, it can be pretty daunting. But as you can continue to play, you'll figure out, you know, what the theme is and what the cards that you're going to be up against are. So. And then you just figure out, okay, which deck out of the decks that I have would best overcome this. Or maybe I need to tweak my deck a little bit, go into the deck manager to change it up to better deal with my opponent. Okay, so he decided not to block here. So the way I figured I'd structure these videos, you know, I have my Friday Night Magic, and I usually just talk about the games. And I'll probably, once we're in the game, I'll probably just focus on talking about the game and what's going on. But when we're out of the game, I'll talk about the different aspects of what we're looking at in that particular video. So here's the Unruly Mob. Like I said, I knew he was going to play this because the encounter plays out the same every time. So it's a 1/1. Whenever one of his creatures dies, Unruly Mob gets a 1/1 counter on him. Okay. And then this turn, I will wait to play anything else right now, because I think I'm going to attack with both of my creatures. Now he's probably just going to block with this one to pump up his other creature. Okay, so he's going to block the cat, which I'm actually happy he decided to block that one, because then when the black cat dies, he has to discard a card at random. So he doesn't get to choose it. Randomly discards a card. Discarded a Plains. Okay, so now second main phase, I've got a couple of things that I can do. I can both sign in Blood and Gravecrawler. So we are let's sign in blood first on myself. I lose 2 life. I draw 2 cards. I can do that to an opponent as well, but why would I make him draw cards? I think it's worth losing the 2 life to draw 2 cards. And then we will play a Gravecrawler. Can't block. But again, you saw the Gravecrawler, you know what it is. I've got some really nice cards here actually. So firstly, I've got this. For 3 lands, it's a 3/1. When it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. I'm sure you can imagine how good that can potentially be. Especially if an opponent only has 1 creature, you drop this. You've got to sacrifice stuff, but the great thing about this zombie deck is you can pull a lot of cards from your graveyard. There's multiple ways to do that, besides cards themselves, like the Gravecrawler here. So he's played 2 1/1s. He actually threw down a Gather the Townsfolk, and this turn, wow, I drew into an amazing card too. We're going to start off with this bad boy though. Zombies cost 1 less to cast, and they get +2/+1. Oh, so my 2 1s are turning into 4 2s now. And we will just go ahead and attack with both of them. So this game is going to be a pretty easy victory for me. And again, it's because I knew the deck that we're playing against. I knew exactly how it was going to play out because it plays out the same every time. It's still possible that he could be doing okay, but as far as I know, this turn he's going to play an enchantment. And there it is. So this is perfect for me. This is so perfect for me because if he doesn't block, I can force him to sacrifice it. Or I can just outright kill it right now. Why don't we do that? I just drew into a Doomblade, destroy target non-black creature. We will destroy his 4/4 Unruly Mob. And then we will play a Lord of the Undead, which is a 2/2 that pumps up other zombies and also lets me tap 2 to return a zombie from my graveyard to my hand. And we can also play the Gravecrawler, but I can just do that second main phase. So why don't we attack first for 9. Now the first time I played against the Angry Mob deck, I got my butt handed to me. Because it's actually really strong. First of all, I've got really lucky with my plays this game. Amazing opening hand and amazing top decks as well. But again, I also knew what to expect, so that's sort of how it works with these encounters. He plays a 2/2, he can tap it for a white human token. When he's got 5 or less life, his creatures get +2/+2. Also, in playing it, his enchantment lets him do 1 damage to a creature or player. He's going to pick me. It doesn't matter because he is dead next turn. Just like that. And that is the game. So, there was an encounter. Why don't we go ahead and move on now, and we'll take a look at an actual game against an opponent, rather than a scripted set of events, which is basically what that is. You'll have noticed at the end of that game, I was able to go into the deck manager, which lets you, well, it's a deck manager, so that's what it is. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go ahead and take a look at another game. Why don't we do? Let me take a look here.
Ramaz guessed.
I don't remember what all the opponents were. This is the Masks of the Dimir deck. Let me type. I just want to check the decks really quick. I'd like to find
Ramaz spoke of
a good one to play against dragons. Why don't we play against this one? Okay, so I'd like to play the green deck. Not that one, but the other one, which I went the wrong way to go to. I could have just gone 1 down. Instead, I went all the way around. We're going to play the Chant of Mul Daya deck. Probably one of my favorite decks in Duels 2014. So I'd like to show it to you. Okay, so little flavor text. Dracomancer stands before you, eyes bulging with rage. I will serve your innards to the great dragons, he shrieks, as embers rain down from the ashen sky. From his neck hangs the enchanted gem shard Chandra described. So this is a standard game. This is not a encounter like the last one. I know what's in his deck, but I don't know what he's going to draw, what he's going to play when. And he does get to play first. My opening hand is actually okay, so we will keep it. So this particular deck that I'm playing right now, this deck is all about lots of mana acceleration early on. So I've got things like my Khalni Heart Expedition, my Rampant Growth, and my Farhaven Elf. I also have a Primeval Titan. You get lots of mana in play, and then you play these absurd creatures. Absolutely absurd creatures with Annihilator. Ridiculous these creatures are. Alright, so we're going to start off here with the Heart Expedition. This is a really neat card. The way it works is whenever I play a land, whenever a land enters the battlefield under my control, I get to put a token on it. When I have 3 tokens, I sacrifice it, search my library for 2 lands, put them into play tapped. And so what will happen is next turn I'll play a land, I will play my elf, which lets me get another land, and then all of a sudden he will have 2 tokens on him. Just like that. And then once he gets a 3rd token, I sack it, I get more lands, and then I'm pretty much in the spot that I'll be able to start playing these crazy creatures that I'll have. Okay, so we'll start off with that. And it'll be a Primeval Titan first. And then we'll just sort of go from there. Okay, so the Primeval Titan, it's a 6/6 trample. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, I get to put 2 lands into play tapped from my library. And then my Artisan, it's a 10/9. When it enters the battlefield, I return a creature from the graveyard to a battlefield. It also has Annihilator 2, which means whenever it attacks, defending player has to sacrifice 2 permanents. It's absurd. And like, here's another one. It's an 8/8. Annihilator 2. It attacks each turn with Able. So again, the Annihilator, when it attacks, opponent has to sacrifice. Alright, so we will search now for 2 lands and put them into play tapped. And I would actually like to go for... yeah, just gonna go with those 2 forced. Right there, just like that. And then we go the Rampant Growth. So now next turn, I can play the Primeval Titan. In fact, let's see here. I've got 5, 6, 7, 8. Next turn, I could also play the Crusher if I wanted. I'll probably play the Titan, though. Not going to attack. Just going to use this guy as a chump blocker. He's played a creature that when it dies, he gets to put a 1/1 token onto the battlefield. Yeah, I might play the Crusher first. I might just go with the Crusher next turn to start getting the Annihilator swings early. Typically, a lot of times I'll need the Titan first, but that's not really the case here. So we're just going to drop down a Crusher. So unless he kills it this turn, next turn I swing for 8 with this, and he has to sacrifice 2 permanents. Unless he's got direct removal right now, that's going to happen. And even if he does have direct removal, next turn I'll drop down the Artisan, which will let me then return him from my graveyard back into play. Ta-da! So that's how this deck works. You start off with acceleration, and then you just play these creatures that are the stupidest thing ever. just absurd creatures that basically win you the game. Now, what I found is strong against this deck, there's a few things. Discard is very strong against this deck because a lot of times you're holding on to these super powerful cards for a few turns. What's also strong against this deck, though, is things with a lot of direct creature removal, because you basically rely on a few really strong creatures, and that's it. Okay, so he had to sacrifice 2 permanents. He sacrificed a mountain and then the Tuktung Thallid. And what the heck is that thing called? The Tuckatung. The Tuckatung Thallid. And then he blocked with the token that came into play after that. So we've got some more moves here. So it will be first a Primeval Titan, which lets me search for 2 lands once it pops. And we are getting the Eye of Ugin and a forest. So let me show you the Eye. The Eye lets me, it makes it so that all my Eldrazi spells cost 2 less to cast, which my Eldrazi are these colorless creatures that are absurd, Eldrazi. But it also makes it so that I can tap 7 to search my library for a colorless creature, which is an Eldrazi, and put it into my hand. So, yeah, getting that's pretty awesome. And just using my land search to get that in play is the bomb. And I am not going to play my I'm not going to play my Artisan until one of my creatures dies, which I'm assuming will happen at some point. So for now, we are just going to attack. He drops down a Jund Charm, exile all cards to target player's graveyard, or Jund Charm deals 2 damage each creature, or put 2 1/1 counters on target creature. So he's probably putting 2 1/1 counters. Oh no, he's doing 2 damage to everything. And then he's, ooh, Soulfire. Target creature you control on the battlefield deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. He just killed off my Primeval Titan. I will be able to return it. Fret not. And then I attack for 8, and he's gonna block and kill it. Wow, fancy. Well, he did a good job of removing all my stuff. Unfortunately for him, though. Unfortunately for him. Artisan comes into play, returns 1 creature. We're gonna take back the Omog Crusher instead of the Titan, because having 2 creatures with Annihilator means I probably just win next turn. And then we're also gonna play our 2 Explorers, which lets us play an extra land this turn and draw a card. I drew into a land so I can play it. And I'll draw a card again. And I drew into another Crusher, as if this game wasn't already over. There you go. He can do nothing during his turn. So he passes. We swing for 18. He has to sacrifice 4 permanents. And that's pretty much the game. Oh, glorious, glorious day. You know what? I'll hold on to him. You never know. Crazy things happen. I'm also going to search. Use this to search. I can get an It That Betrays, which I will. So take a look at this one. 11/11 with Annihilator 2. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card onto the battlefield under your control. Yes, that works when I attack with Annihilator and he sacrifices permanents, I get those permanents. That's exactly how it works. It's hilarious. I can show you how it works right now. I'm gonna play It That Betrays. Then we attack. He's dying from damage right now anyways, but were he not to die right now, every permanent he sacrificed would then come into play under my control. I get the lands just like that. It's so funny. I won the game with him having nothing on the board. And me having this. That is why I wanted to show you this deck. It is hilarious. So good, so good. Let me hop into Deck Manager, I guess, quickly. I can show you my chosen composition here. Eye of Ugin. The Heart Expeditions, couple of Tangles, Explore. Tangles are nice, preventing damage, plus keeping creatures tapped. Rampant Growths, yes please. Farhaven Elf, so this is all land fetch. Same thing with the Oracle of Moldiah. Getting lands into play. Elvish Piper, such a good card. Take a card from my hand and put it in the battlefield. So if for some reason I can't afford these massive creatures, if I don't happen to get the land fetch I need, I can use Elvish Piper to drop these super expensive creatures in play for 1 green. Card is broken. Primeval Titans, Worms here to gain life and draw cards plus trample. Tooth and Nail, search my library for 2 creature cards, and then if I pay the Entwine, I can put them into play. It's one or the other though. You can either put 2 into play or search a library. Paying Entwine lets you do both. Wish that I could have 4 of those in this deck. It'd be hilarious. All is Dust. Each player sacrifices all colored permanents he or she controls. There's the Crusher. Eldrazi Conscription, it's an enchantment that gives a creature +10/+10, trample, and Annihilator 2. It's as broken as it sounds. There's the Artisan, Pathraiser, and It That Betrays. Alright guys, well, I guess that'll do it. Maybe I'll wrap up here going with the final challenge in the campaign, which is the final boss, where I play with Chandra against this crazy guy. And I'm trying to think what deck I'd like against that. I don't even know. I don't remember what. I think I just used the mono red deck last time, to be honest with you. Maybe I'll use the. Maybe we'll use the mono white deck. This one right here. I'm not going to stay for the whole game though, but yeah, just wanted to get started. So in the final chapter, it's us 2 against this big head boss guy. He starts off with 40 life. Oh man. as much as I'd love to keep this hand. There we go. That's really nice. So yeah, here's me and Chandra playing together. How exciting. Starting off here with the champions of the parish. So good. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it here for this first video. Now, again, stay tuned. In the game of the week, we will continue. I will show you the various other aspects here in Duels 2014, such as the sealed play, the challenges, the revenge campaign, which is just more campaign gameplay, and then the multiplayer. I mean, it's just going to be a week of me playing Magic games, basically. That's all it comes down to. But yeah, the campaign wasn't terribly hard. I had fun with it, nevertheless. Even on the Planeswalker difficulty, which is what we're playing on, I didn't find it too difficult. You know, that's fine. The real challenge comes against playing other people, so there you go. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Once again, more Duels 2014 coming throughout the course of the week as we continue our Game of the Week coverage. If you like the content, please subscribe, and as always, keep watching and keep owning. Come on, Ramaz. What are you gonna do here? Oh no, Earthquake. That really sucks, actually. I hate you.